So we're starting.
Candace Hunter used to teach at the Austin Independent School District, and she's been following the debate over critical race theory closely. That's why she says Governor Abbott's remarks about doing more to quote-unquote abolish critical race theory are confusing.
No one is teaching critical race theory on the postgraduate or graduate level. That's not happening. But what we are doing is critically thinking about race and the formation of this country.
And that's what teacher advocates are saying is actually at risk with these discussions if Governor Abbott gets his way.
We always try to ensure that we are teaching what's best for the grade level, for our students, but we're also trying to ensure that they learn the truth, that there's honesty in our teaching.
Candace says the U.S., and Texas specifically, has unavoidable and, yes, uncomfortable pieces of history, and many of those pieces overlap with race and ethnicity.
As a 6 through 12 teacher, I taught what the state standards that were given to me. We talked about the Middle Passage. We talked about 1619, Bacon's Rebellion. We talked about slavery. We talked about the different uprisings. We talked about Jim Crow.
And since critical race theory doesn't exist to begin with in grade school, advocates are left wondering what else could be filtered out in the public education system.
We just celebrated Juneteenth, right? How are we going to talk about Juneteenth if we don't talk about race? How is that going to be played out in our classrooms? Are we going to be able to talk about it? So it's just the fear of not knowing exactly what this means.
Critics of this discipline of study say it risks alienating some students and that we would be ruminating on some of the nation's darkest chapters. But educators like Candace say those chapters are how we got to where we are today.
I think there are some families that are saying, I don't want my kid to feel guilty. And that should be part of the conversation. Your child shouldn't feel guilty. They've not owned slaves, but have they benefited from the system? They have. So how can they take their privilege and use it for good?
For some, the most frustrating part of this discourse isn't the topic itself, but the ones behind it.
Right now, it's just volleying for political points. And no one is really thinking about how will this affect children.
And in a few short weeks, that debate will likely heat up even more.